भविष्यमवाच इमां सञ्जीवयत्किलशक्तिधरस्वतां अन्यां सहस्रचरणश्रवणप्रदादीन् प्राणान् नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यं किङ्गुरुं यस्वयं सत्यः प्रज्ञाभक्तिविनीतयः दीप्तिश्चापकृता नित्यं तङ्गुरुं प्रणमाम्यहं सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। यहाँ उपस्थित मान्यगण सबको मेरा प्रणाम। स्वामी जी की बता रहे थे I would not venture to speak in Hindi and just switch on to English. I am delighted that Director Prof K Ramasubramanian here. I am going to address this question: what is niṣkāma sevā? Is it ever possible to do such a seva? So this is going to be the overall theme on which I am going to speak to you. It was very interesting, the dialogue earlier, the way they were going to take it forward. Okay. The term niṣkāma sevā has only one compound, basically. Sevā, and it is prefixed with niṣkāma. So it is a single compound, samastava. The word sevā has at least three connotations in Sanskrit. One is bhajanam, which means serving or worshipping. The second is ārādhanam, sort of pleasing. And the third is upabhoga. So bhojan sevan kar rahe hain. So they are also used in Hindi also. So these are the three connotations. In this particular compound, niṣkāma sevā, we use it in the sense of the first sense rather than the other senses. Of course, they are all sort of connected in some form. Now, niṣkāma sevā, if you want to say, nirgataha kāmaha, means from which kāmaha is wish or desire. So, nirgataha means it has been sort of eradicated. Nirgataha kāmaha yasyaha sevāyaha. So, that particular serving from which the desire is completely gone. In fact, yesterday I was asking on one of the posters, they had said, desireless and selfless service. I was asking if desireless is possible. So this is what I am going to address. So is it ever possible? In fact, if it is not possible, then the whole purpose of this conference is sort of defeated. Yes. Now, the next level is, we have this phrase. This is a general understanding only which has been brilliantly proposed. There is text Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Sara. So there Bhagavad says, Prayojanam anuddishya namadlopi pravartati. Essentially means, even a dallar, a fool, does not engage himself into any activity where he could not see a purpose. And once there is a purpose, there is a certain desire which to either acquire or to drop. The prayojana, the yamuddishya pravartate tat prayojana. So whatever yamuddishya pravartate tat prayojana. So yasmat nivartate, then also there is a certain prayojana. Either engaging, yesterday he was just saying pravritti and nivritti, both of them have some prayojana. And once a certain fix a certain purpose, it is to achieve that purpose, and therefore a desire is always connected with the prayojana. So this is what we see. So there seems to be apparently there is a contradiction. Quickly going through and just broadly classifying the desires into various groups. There is a first set, basic and material, ambitious, social and emotional. We just say basic needs, obviously food, shelter, water, everyone desires. So without that one cannot live. So we are after it, there is nothing wrong. But then people are also after substantial wealth, high status, comfort, property. There also there is a certain desire. This is one class. The other class is, I want to be ambitious So there is an ambitious desire, you can just say, I want to achieve something either in sports, either in education, either in administration, either in power, whatever it is, there is a certain desire towards that. That is another kind. Career goals are set and achieved. And the third is seeking friendship, appreciation, acceptance. Some people have a certain tendency to exert influence on social, so people have to listen to me. There are also certain desires, people try to achieve that. Of course, companion, affection, belongingness, these are all desirable things. These desires cannot be avoided, and it is inherent with every human being. In every activity that we do, one can associate some or other thing towards this. There is also another form of another set of desires which you can think of. They are not so commonplace. जब तो आते हैं पढ़ने के लिए आते हैं पढ़ते हैं कि नहीं वो दूसरी बात है. So they want something. ये भी होता है. So see, ultimately, the intellectual desire is the pursuit of true knowledge we want to clearly understand. In fact, Ko Guru is an interesting question which has been posed to be Shankara Bhagavad Pada. Ko Guru. And the short answer that he gives is, Adhigata Tattvaha Sishyahitaya Udyata Satata. Adhigata Tattvaha means the one who has absolutely understood the essence of what he is trying to convey. How many of us do? As teachers, I don't know. So this itself is a big question. Adhigata Tattvaha Sishyahitaya Udyata Satatam. The second aspect is very important. Satatam Udyataha. The one who is continuously engaging himself in the welfare of the student. How is it possible continuous engagement? So it is essentially by setting the role model for the student. So it is by seeing that we learn more rather than by hearing. So this is how Guru is defined. Now, if we see the intellectual desire, in fact the whole body of literature that we have today is all essentially to share the wisdom that they have gained to the other. I mean, it is in sense you can just call it, this is a niṣkāma sevā that they wanted to do, jnana vinimaya. All the acharyas, whoever it is, Shankara, Ramanuja, whoever it is, we can think of. So Ramakrishna, Vivekananda. So this is one thing. Then the spiritual desire, a deep seeking for the meaning and the purpose of life. This is another kind of a desire that people have. Peace, enlightenment, transcendence. So beyond this. So whether you do this sevā, okay, by engaging yourself in an institution like this or doing somewhere else. So this is another form of thing that people try to pursue, irrespective of the profession that they are in. So I may be a mechanical engineer, I may be some other carpenter. But these questions do bother people at some point of time. Okay, the spiritual questions, why am I here? What is the purpose of living? Is there something which is beyond this life? These are all questions which emerge. If not at the 40, up 50 or 60 or 70, definitely it comes. This is another form. Then altruistic, there is the last part. So compassion, empathy. Even there, we will come to a little later, but these are broad classification, but that is one kind, this is another thing. We should just keep this in mind. There is some difference between the two sets. Now, another form of classifying this desire would be like this. We have, see there are some Sanskrit scholars here. So I find Mahesha. You would have heard about the Shakuntalam, right? In Shakuntalam there is a beautiful verse. There are 4 shlokas. One of them is, see, when Shakuntala is actually leaving the forest to go to Dushyanta, there is a beautiful verse. Kanva says, Vāgavasyati jalam yushma swapiteshu ya nadatte priyamandana bhavatam snehena ya pallav Ādyeva kusuma prasuti samaye yasya bhavat yutsavaha seyamyati Shakuntala padikatam sarvai anujñāyatā. You see the kind of connection between the human and the nature is beautifully brought out here. So Kalidasa says that Shakuntala is living here. Which Shakuntala? The one who will not even sip a palm of water. Okay? Unless she completes watering all of you. Vatunna prasamam vyavasyati jalam yushmasu apiteshu. You are singing. And with the kind of affection that she shows towards the flower, though she may like to adorn, but she would not venture to pluck the flower thinking that you may be hurt in the process. Nadatte priyamandana bhavatam snehena ya pallavam. Adyeva kusuma prasuti samaye, when you first start flowering, so it will be a huge celebration for her as if a child is born in the family. So that Shakuntala is leaving this forest. May all of you means the creepers and the plants, kindly allow her to go. Okay? Shower your blessings on her. This is a beautiful thing that has been brought out by her. So this is one form of desire people have. See, if I keep this plant, it will yield some fruit, it will yield some shelter. This is one form of desire. Understand? This is also a desire. A desire to serve the community is one form of a desire. So, but this desire is to be nurtured. Okay. Now, I am building this all to tell you that we use the phrase niṣkāma. How do we really understand that? Okay, this is a ṣāstric charcha. That is how they have been titling it. That's why I am building it slowly. Now you see the next one. I showed you in the previous slide various kinds of desires, material desire, etc., social desire, and so on. They all went for, see, it is tasty, I want it for me and my family. Okay, this is just generally restricted. Many of our activities are oriented towards fetching only the small, limited community. This is another form of desire, but this cannot be avoided once we are into it generally. And then, of course, this is also there. ठीक है, मुझे थोड़ा मिलता है, पूरा मिलना है, अभी काट देंगे. Okay. So instead of selling the fruits, I will tell the whole tree. Okay, I will immediately gain something. This is how many companies function. Okay. So we don't think of the larger impact of it. मुझे आज मिलता है, करो. Okay, this is how I mean all these contractors and so on and so forth. They try to make too much of profit. So ऐसा करते हैं. That is to be avoided. Okay. So this is another kind of classification which you can think of. So commonplace desires are this, just to quickly summarize. The desires to keep cascading. I want to get into good schools because I want to get into prestigious universities like IIT. Okay, वो एक पता है. उससे क्या पता है? I want to get placed in admired companies. Hard work, then overachieving target ये भी करते हैं. Okay, the target is fixed at X, so I will get 1.5 times X. So then what happens? I mean, fast promotion, better salary. Okay. तुम्हारा head hunting होगा. So these are all things which people desire for. Okay, these are all things which is commonplace that we see wherever you are in whichever profession ही. तो ये भी जानते होंगे. तो 2 साल काम किया होगा, मुझे आप भी अभी प्रमोशन चाहिए. ठीक है? तो असिस्टेंट से होना चाहिए, एसोसिएट से प्रोफेसर होना चाहिए. ऐसा बहुत पता है. So then what do you achieve? So possessing car, house, company. Okay, इनको बदलना भी है. कार को बदलना है, हाउस को बदलना है, कंपनी को बदलना है, कभी कभी वाइफ को भी बदलना है. ये होता है.
दोनों बात करें ना, कभी हस्बैंड को भी बदलना है.
हाँ, ये just understood. स्पाउस डाल दीजिए उधर. स्पाउस भी अच्छा टर्म नहीं है, आजकल पार्टनर. That is more fashionable term. Okay, anyway. Now, if we do not achieve, what happens? See, this niṣkāma has to be sort of understood clearly. If we do not achieve, what is the impact of it? So, ये तो होता है, depression होता है, HPP होता है, obesity होता है, सब कुछ होता है. Now, there is, see, this is a commonplace desire, and we also see the effects of that all pervading. Okay, this is peace. So, there is some necessity for introspection on our side. Okay. What actually shapes people to go mindlessly craving for this? This is something which we need to think a little bit. I know people, even in the previous, at least 40, 50 years ago, where they were not really tempted to just move from one to the other thing just because they get little more. They were trying to put their foot down, come what may. I will see. In fact, even recently, only 25 years back, I tell you, there was a carpenter, excellent carpenter. Immediately, I just looked at the way he was working somewhere in a building. So I just brought him to my home. His 4-year son was just noticing, and then, so he brought him, and he also takes his chisel and then start doing something. 4 or 5 years, something like that. मैंने उससे पूछा, no, ये तो हमारा परंपरा है, इसको सीखना है, इसी को करना है, all three were doing. So this kind of dedication for Veda, for Vedanga and other skills. Today the pathetic situation is, I go to US, and they are pumping in tons of money, dollars, millions of dollars, just to get a beautiful temple built with sculptors. They import the sculptors. Unbelievable. Elephant will look like, okay, a pig. I'm not joking. I mean, I'm just saying there is absolute disproportion. Absolute disproportion. We have all the tools here, but we have lost that skill and dedication. So this is something which we need to keep in mind. So what has happened is, what fits me more, I'll just move to that, and here we have to struggle hard, etc., etc. People are not willing to. Okay, this is another. So this niṣkāma, this kama is fixed somewhere else rather than achieving excellence in something. So there is a shift that has really happened, and thereby, I mean, he may get trained here. Okay, in mechanical engineering, he may be gold medalist. So if this finance is going to fetch me more, okay, और सब कुछ छोड़ के उधर जाता है. So this is something which generally happens. We notice it. Okay. So this these are sort of impregnated sometimes by parents, sometimes by teachers, sometimes by friends, and looking at peers, they just shift the goal and then they move. And they are busy taking care of themselves. And where is the time to do niṣkāma sevā? ये पूछते हैं कई लोग. Okay. तो हमारा ये देखने के लिए समय नहीं मिलता. On the other hand, even think of this niṣkāma sevā as an ideal. See, that can be practiced only जो रामकृष्ण मठ में जो क्रिया है उनको करना है, उनको करने दो, हम तो हमारा काम करेंगे. So this is just segregated out. Okay, this is what is happening. So here is a beautiful thing. How do we change it? This can be changed only by the right association. And the importance of right association has been brilliantly brought up in this by Bhartrhari. He says the same water droplet, if it falls on a hard iron plate, completely disappears. The same thing, if it falls on the lotus petal, it looks like a pearl. And the same water droplet, when it falls elsewhere, it becomes the pearl itself. And thereby, he says, prāyena adhama madhyamottama gunaha samsargato jayate. It is essentially the association that shapes your mind, and thereby you become what you become, though you are one and the same person. Okay? So it is here that we have been repeatedly saying satsangatve nisangatvam, nisangatve nirmohatvam, nirmohatve nischaritatvam, nischaritatve jivanmukti. Essentially, this has been 100 times repeated in our scriptures. So it is essential that we choose the right person whom we can mimic in our life to become a better person and create a better society. Okay, this plays a very crucial role. And it is here that this concept plays a major role, where we are set to think. Okay, so does it mean something for me, for the society? So this is where we need to rethink. Okay, that's where this IKS plays a role. And there is another kind of a thing. I am not trying to target a particular person or see something which has been revealed to me by some people who have been completely following this and who felt the complete baselessness and meaningless activity that they have been engaging all through their life. At some stage they realize. So you see, so I want to have this shiny nails, gorgeous hair, glowing skin, blah blah blah. Okay. So then branded shoes, the amount of time that is being spent in doing all this. तो वहाँ जाके रामकृष्ण मठ में आधा घंटा काम कर सकते हो. So रोज आधा घंटा 1 घंटा इसमें जाता है. So this is what is happening. Okay. So then, so you want to go far. In fact, that person was saying, I used to get back of 50,000. क्यों 50,000? 5 साल में करेंगे. बाकी 45 you had to some better purpose. ये सोच को थोड़ा बदलना पड़ता है. Okay, there is nothing wrong in earning, but there is something wrong in manipulating only for yourself. So this is where the problem is. So branded shoes, bags, suits, government meal, wine party, luxurious party, supportive partner, connection. I do not want to elaborate on this. Most of us know. Then they also feel I am worthless if I do not project myself like this. Okay, it is basically this is what is happening in the mindset. And if any of them do not work, then it results in the feeling of guilt. And it may start hurting others, anger and so on. So this is what happens. Okay. Now, this is a beautiful verse where we can I am just going to end in 2-3 slides, that's all. This is again from Bhartrhari. He broadly classifies people into 4 groups. Yete satpurushaha paraksakatakaha swartham parityajyege samanyastu parartham udyamakritaha swartha virodhena ye temi manusharakshataha parahinam swarthaya nighnanti ye tu ghnanti nirarthakam parahinam ekena janimahe. He says, Yete satpurushaha, these are to be declared as noble people. Who? Parartha ghatakaha, they are always bent towards reaching out people and helping them. Swartham parityajye, इधर अपना जो है उसको छोड़ के भी दूसरों के हित के लिए प्रवर्तित होते हैं ये these are satpurushaha. The second category, selfless. Then samanyastu parartham udyamakritaha. Normal people, मुझे इतना चाहिए रखूंगा, थोड़ा बचेगा तो दे दूंगा. Okay. So this is the second category of people. I will not engage myself in an activity which is going to be even slightly hindering my own career goals. Okay, this is a most people fall in this. Okay, parartham udyamakritaha swartha avirodhena. This swartha can include even interesting half an hour, 1 hour. So getting this government meet. So then क्या बचेगा पता नहीं. समय भी नहीं बचेगा, पैसा भी नहीं बचेगा. This is one problem. Setting. Then temi manusharakshataha. Third category is this. स्वार्थाय निघ्नन्ति ये, मुझे अपने काम के लिए दूसरों को जो भी करना है हम करेंगे, हमारा काम को साधित करेंगे. This is the third message. See, स्वार्थाय निघ्नन्ति, they wouldn't mind going and hurting others in order to fulfill what they want. ये ऐसा ही होता है ना, कई लोगों को बीच में आएगा तो उनको मारूंगा, आगे जाऊंगा. ठीक है, this is what is happening. Then fourth he says, there are some people who are engaged only in troubling others. Like our problem. So, जो भी ये करते हैं इसका गालियां देना यही मेरा उद्देश्य है, हमारा कोई उद्देश्य नहीं. ये तो घ्नन्ति निरर्थकम परहितम देखे न जानी महे. वे कौन थे मुझे पता ही नहीं, उनको कैसा नामकरण करें. सत्पुरुषाः सामान्याः मानुष राक्षसाः, उसके नीचे हम क्या करें पता नहीं. ओके, दिस इज द वे ही एक्चुअली पुट्स फॉरवर्ड. ये सेवा की भावना नहीं है, अपना कोई उद्देश्य भी नहीं है, सिर्फ कार्य करना ही उद्देश्य है, ये तो है. ओके, सो दिस इज वन कैटेगरी. नाउ most of us belong to the second and third. Okay, very rarely we find people in the first category. Okay, but I tell you, when I was quite young, I was in a teenage, maybe 30-40 years ago. So then I remember my grandfather, who left all his job, तो अपने पिताजी माताजी को देखने के लिए एक ही हफ्ते में सब कुछ बंद करके मुंबई से गए. ओके, कार सब कुछ सोल कर सेल करके पिताजी ने बुलाया बस. ओके, बॉम्बे ही हैड अ बिग फ्लैट, कार एक्सेट्रा. ही जस्ट वेंट. आई डोंट नो अबाउट ऑल दिस. एनीवे, वो गए थे. Then when I was a school boy, I used to go for this summer vacation. Then, so traveling in a bullock cart from the bus stand to their house was a luxury. Okay, 45 years ago. So if we get a double bullock cart, we are almost all the more joyous. Okay, single bullock cart will slow. Anyway, वैसा जाते थे. So in the evenings, sometimes he will stay in the field itself. Okay, so 4-5 acre था. My grandmother will say, go and give him coffee. Why does he stay there? He stays there because when the electricity comes, he has to switch on the motor pump and then it will come. इसके रात भर उधर ही सोते थे. हमें 3-4 किलोमीटर जाना है और उसको कॉफी दे रहे हैं, वापस आना है. Sometimes we used to get frustrated. यार पाता है. But then I used to ask him, and this I remember. So why are you studying so hard? My uncle was anyway earning like he was a professor. ये क्यों करते? The answer that he gave was, now I realize the meaning of it. He said, ये धरती तो कुछ देती है, इससे दूसरों को फायदा होता है, हमें थोड़ा तकलीफ लेने में क्या है? I cannot leave the land barren. See, it doesn't matter whether I get profit or not, but if some benefit is derived out of my effort, then I think I should engage in this. So this is the kind of ideal people are holding. Okay? So now think of the kind of mindset that you have. कि छोटा भी हम कुछ तकलीफ लेने के लिए सहमत नहीं है. So this is what is happening. So this is the difference. So paratha ghatakaha swartham parityajiye. That is where I think we should just keep the ideal set. Then I am coming to last couple of slides. See here, after all, when we try to reach out people, in fact even in one of the posters I saw, they had put prema, karuna, dana, etc. They are just placing. If at all we want to reach out, there should be a certain impulse coming, Dimag say, that makes us do this, right? That prompts us to do this. Now, how do we describe this? So, what is karunyam? You analyze a bit, we indeed praise people who are compassionate, but what exactly karunyam is? The paradukha asahishnutva prayukta svachitta vaiklavyam. Just follow this carefully. I find the other person in trouble. Okay? That triggers a certain feeling in me. And that feeling is not something which is comfortable to me, and therefore you try to take some action. Right? So, paradukha asahishnutva prayukta svachitta vaiklavyam. There is a certain emotion that arises in you which is not making you comfortable at the side of the discomfort of the other person. Okay? So this is what karunyam. Now, this karunyam gives rise to, so you can go and give him a lifting hand, you can go and give him a purse, okay? You can go and give him a shawl, you can go and give him something. Okay? So, tad nivritti matra prayojako vyapara. Okay? So ultimately, so if you just see, so some people keep giving for the sake of name, for the sake of fame. ये तो मैं कहीं देखा मंदिर में क्या ऐसा हुआ, वो ट्यूबलाइट डाला है, उसमें अपना नाम डाल दिया, उभयदार सिर्फ ट्यूबलाइट के ऐसा ही बताए नाम के लिए कुछ कर सकते हैं. Okay? So this is not the activity. This is basically an activity to just ensure that you do not feel the discomfort of seeing the discomfort of others. If you do that, in fact that is the dana. Kim danam anakamsham. Anakamsham essentially means not expecting anything in return and just to subside this discomfort in you. Okay? Keep this in mind. Na artha yasha sammanadi prapti prayojaka. I do this, I will get something else. वो स्पिरिचुअल से हो, मैं आगे देता हूँ. अभी ऐसा ही लोग करते हैं ना, तिरुपति में जाके डाल देते हैं. They feel they do all kinds of mischiefs. तो उधर जाके एक डाल दिया, ये माफ करो. Okay, this is not dana. This is vyapara. Okay, I invest X, I want to get 10 times X. So this is not. This is what it is. Okay. Now. Karunye hi sati asya dukkham bhavati. It is essentially for us to build this sense of compassion. Once we build that, care will naturally flow. But it requires a certain mindset to be prepared. So that is where I think we need to put all our efforts. This is a different line of thinking, and this has to be impregnated when they are young. In the impressionable mind, this has to go. Once it goes, it will be there with them for the entire life. But once you let them cross 18, you are finished. Nothing can get it. See, this is where the problem is. And in fact, it's a beautiful analysis. Karunye hi sati asya dukkham bhavati. Tatprahanaya pravartate. In fact, once there is a dukkha in your mind, you don't need to be taught to eradicate that dukkha. Right? So any dukkha you will try to get out. Okay? So tat prahanaya pravartate, God. So ultimately the message is, if you just look at the ultimate principle that has been declared in Vedanta, Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. Okay? So whatever it is not for the sake of wife I love her, it is not for the sake of son I love him, it is just that they do certain activities which are comfortable to me, and therefore if that doesn't work, then उनसे भी गुस्सा होता है, उनसे भी लड़ना होता है, तो उनको छोड़ भी देते हैं, उनको मार भी देते हैं. So all these things happen. So you see, karmikaha api, ultimately, if you analyze, swartha prayutta eva pravartante. Okay? Now, see this is the message that we need to interpret. It is beautifully stated in the Kavya. I know many of you know the story of Karna. Okay? So this Karna was actually prevented from giving this. Okay? So he was saying that somebody is cheating you, therefore you don't give. Then Karna is supposed to have said this in the words of Bhasa. Karna Bhala is an Ataka. There he says, Shikshakshayam gacchati kalaparnayat subadhamula nipatanti padapaha jalam jalasthana gatancha shushyati kutancha dattancha tathaiva tishtati. The beautiful message. All the medals that you have won and the intellectual prowess that you can establish in your young age will all be gone, okay, at some stage. So you will become insane, your mind will not think. Shikshakshayam gacchati kalaparnayat. Then, even the deep-rooted tree, subadhamulaha nipatanti padapaha, someday they are going to fall. Jalam jalasthana gatancha shushyati. Even the Michigan lake or some lakes, at some stage they are going to dry away. Okay? Jalam jalasthana gatancha shushyati. But one thing will remain. Kutancha dattancha tathaiva tishtati. So, if you have offered something to someone, and if you are given, that is going to be there for you. Okay? So this is the kind of thing that we need to, what should be given priority in life. So it is this attitude that has to be built up. Once this is built up, nothing can stop people from engaging themselves in those activities which are going to be immensely productive with respect to themselves as well as for the society. Okay? So it is there that we need to lay the stress, and that's where comes this niṣkāma sevā. Last but one slide. What is niṣkāma sevā now? So you see this, I am just trying to put kāma. So therefore, desireless is not the right term. It is impossible to have. At some stage it is a certain form of desire. And there the desire can be classified into four groups. One is swadukha karakaha. Okay? Then swadukha karakaha. You understand? One is to bring you dukkha, the other is to snatch away from you dukkha. Okay? I tell you, I had interaction with a multi-billion. Okay? Now, his father established, he went further ahead and then built that empire. Now the third generation is functioning, and that lady was really worried. We have built a huge empire, I don't know what will happen to this. My son is not seeing, does not seem to be inclined in the right thoughts with which the whole empire was built. So now, building this empire itself has become a source of pain for this. Okay? Now, most of us are after it. Vivekananda, in fact, brilliantly says in various places. So this idea. Now, swadukha karaka. So initially we think it is haraka, it will become karaka later. Okay, there is a beautiful verse which brings in dhanam bhayanibandhanam satata dukkha samvardhanam prachandatara kardanam sphutitabandhu samvardhanam vishishta guna bhathanam kripanati samarathanam namukti gati sadhanam bhavati napi krikshodhanam. See, he says, Nanam Bhayanibandanam, it is a source of fear. Dhanam Bhayanibandanam Satata Dukkha Samvardhanam. Why he says Satatam? In earning there is a problem, in investing there is a problem, in spending there is a problem. Satata Dukkha Samvardhanam. And what happens in the process? Prachanda Tarakardanam. Good qualities are all between sacrifice, compromise. In fact, one is Gurumurti, I had a close talk with him. Then he said, he's a very nice businessman. I said, businessman means no nice. So this is what he said. He spontaneously said this. So, Prachanda Tarakardhanam, Putidabandhu Samvardhanam. What happens is relationship gets spoiled. Okay? Vishishta Gunabhathanam. Then I am telling you, Kripanadi Samaradhanam. Kripanadi means it makes him viscerally at some point. Namukti Gati Sadhanam. वो मुक्ति के लिए भी हेतु नहीं है. So Nabhavati Napi Krichodhanam doesn't happen generally. See, sometimes you find certain people who yearn and then just at one point of time they feel it is all meaningless and then they leave it and then go on. Right? So that is the state. So what hardly happens. So finally I want to say is, so you just look at this chart carefully understand. So I see Swadukha Harakaha, Paradukha Harakaha. Any activity which is going to be oriented towards this can be called as niṣkāma sevā. Though there is a karma, but this can be called as niṣkāma. On the other hand, any activity which is going to be fetching this, it is going to be sakāma. Any sakāma activity rather would put you into this category. Okay? So therefore, see what happens is total absence of desire is impossible. If you just click these two boxes, then I think it can be called as niṣkāma sevā. Okay, this is how we need to understand what niṣkāma sevā is. In fact, it is beautifully captured in the verse. Shruyatam dharma sarvasvam Shrutva chaiva avadhagyatam atmanah pratikulani paresham samachare. This is all the essence of dharma is. Anything that is likely to hurt you, may you not engage yourself into that activity. In fact, that's what the Prof has been repeatedly saying. Okay? Paresham na samachare. Last slide. I was immensely pleased once, I think 5 years back or so, when I was just, somebody sent a link to me to some video. I heard that video. It was essentially, I don't know if some of you may remember, I vaguely remember. So that was some interview that was happening between somebody, some anchor and Narendra Modi. Okay, so just before the previous election. So at the end, after 1 hour or so, he was asking this question to him, what is it that you desire? Something like that was posed to Narendra Modi. Then only I came to know this verse. He quoted this verse. There was a little difficulty, but he finally finished this verse. I was stuck that he quoted this, and the essence of it is something which is amazing. He says, Nattvaham kamaye rajyam. What he desired is what he was asking. So he thought that maybe I want to come to the next verse, something like that. But then this man said, Nattvaham kamaye rajyam, nasvargam na punarubhavam, kamaye dukkha taptanam, praninam artinashanam. Amazing verse. Okay, I don't seek for, okay, rajyam, nasvargam, okay, nor heaven, na punarubhavam, okay. Even eternal moksha I am not seeking for. The only thing that I seek for is the opportunity to serve people who are in distress, to make them smile. Okay? See, this is what it is. So, kame dukkha praninam arti nasham. This is the bhavana that we need to build in ourselves. Okay? I should never ever pass. If at all I should do something which can relieve others from pain. This is kājika, vācika, manasika. Please understand this. Not physical act. At your own thought level also, you should just ensure that you don't try to unnecessarily hurt others. Okay? So this has to be built there, and it will slowly come into vācika and it will come to kājika. Okay? This is very important. So this is all I want to tell you. Dhanyavadaha. Namaste.
René Girard has a very famous theory on desire. He calls desire mimetic. That we learn our desire by mimicking. And whatever you pointed to as well, of course, there is an element of culture, where culture is seen as what values are sanctioned and what values are prohibited. And if you are able to analyze niṣkāma sevā at a cultural level as well, like your father's example. So, can there be a cultural pedagogy, because we are talking about how to teach niṣkāma sevā and how do you actually academize it as well. Is there a way that we can think and conceptualize a cultural pedagogy for this?
Yeah, basically what I feel is one has to basically bring in the negative aspects of what we are pursuing and then highlight the positive aspects of it and enable them to have an experience of this. If we do these three things, then I think it is natural for people. See, if I am going to get a greater pleasure, then who will not engage in this?
Yes.
But unless you have an opportunity for you to think for yourself and engage in that activity, you will never be able to experience. So it is there. I think otherwise, you are made to think along a particular line and therefore you are unable to come out. It is not to blame the individual, it is to blame the society. That is what Mahatma Gandhi also at various points says. And yes.
They say that
you want to say something?
you said that businessman means cannot be. Business of life.
Yeah.
All is the business of life.
Yeah, very true, very true, very true. So business is.
I would say that the word itself is wrongly placed.
So this business has various things. You mind your own business.
Yeah.
When you say your own activity, okay. So there we are basically thinking of a large scale trade when we use that word business. Okay. So it is true that
Yeah. Say, niṣkāma sevā. Is it anyway connected to that verse? Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita,
Parabrahmo Vyavaha. Yes. It is indeed, I would say. See, this is a very important principle.
and if it is connected, how do you advise others to know what is possible?
Yeah. Now there are different levels of dharma that one needs to be, and depending on the population which you are addressing, you may have to lift them up. So we will not be able to just take these principles that are laid down at all levels to all people. So depending on where they are, we may have to slightly lift them up so that they are able to think a little better, then build them up, and then ultimately come to. Otherwise, people will just think, this is what will happen. But these common principles which are being laid down, which can be universally understood, have to be first brought into place. Okay? Then Svayam Swadharmo Yunaha Paradharma Sudurkita. This is what the carpenter told me. I'm just telling you. So if those sculptors had, in fact I must tell you that the example that I gave was for maternal grandfather. Okay, the paternal grandfather, so I was told that at one point of time he was so motivated that, see, today the priestly class, so Purohita, etc., they have their own car. Some people have even BMW. Okay. So I said, so in those days they had to walk a few kilometers just to get 25 paise. Okay, that was the stage in which. But even then, apparently, my paternal grandfather was motivated by mother, okay, saying that, his grandmother, saying that, so your father had 5 children, so all the 4 have gone over the last son, so you at least do the Vedas thing. Okay, he was so motivated because those days, this was never giving any money and therefore he wanted to put other people in other. So this person apparently told his father repeatedly, but he was not willing. But at some stage, so he was so motivated that he said, if you are not going to send me to Pathasala, then take this axe and then finish it. So with that motivation he went, and what people learn in 4 years, he learned in 3.5 years. Okay, for 6 years he learned in 3.5 years. And then he put both of his children only in, and my grandfather has written a will the only wealth that I had is Veda, which I have handed over to you. See, the only wealth that I had is Veda. Remember, see, this is hardly felt by people. So this is true of any art. See, whether it is sculpture, whether it is carpentry, that those kind of carpenters are gone. I have seen them, amazing. Very few are left. So we should take effort to see that each is a kala. We have 64 kalas. Everything has to be respected. Veda chanting is one kala. So the kala ke liye, kala jivan ke liye nahi. So this is the principle that we need to inculcate. Okay, that is what is niṣkāma.
It's one predisposed. It's one predisposed. Like karma, samskara.
No. No. See, we have to understand this. There are two aspects. That is why I gave this example of. That is why there is nothing like 100% this way, 100% that way. Okay? Both of them play a role. Otherwise, samsarga doesn't make any sense. The satsangatva and niṣkāma is meaningless then. So, in spite of being in satsanga, there may be a few examples which will go astray. And this is there all through the ages. Okay? So, these are all what is called unfavorable vichara. And it's an interesting discussion about all this.